We're going to be talking about the roles of the interpreter today. By the end of today's lecture, you should be able to be very familiar with the hierarchy of the roles and also be able to demonstrate at least one of the roles of the interpreter. The basic job of an interpreter, what is that? To facilitate understanding and communication between people who are speaking different languages. I like to think about the roles of an interpreter the way you might imagine an orchard ladder. When you look at a ladder, you're most comfortable here on the bottom. Now, why would that be? You're not taking very much risk here. You're close to the ground, and there's a firm base. As you begin to move up the ladder, you might find on this step that you're still pretty comfortable, but you're a little bit higher. Maybe you're starting to realize that it's not as stable as down here. You move up even higher on the ladder, and up here you may begin to feel a little nervous. However, you're hoping to be able to reap the fruit up here in the tree. By the time you get to the top of the ladder, you're wishing you were down on the bottom step. Maybe you're beginning to lose your balance, and you know that you need to be here because you have a job you have to do, but you would be more comfortable down here. If you begin to imagine these different steps as the roles, this comfortable step here is what we call the conduit, or the message converter. Now, in order to be a conduit or a message converter, first of all, you need to have a baseline. And part of this baseline includes language proficiency, that means you need to really know both of your languages super well. You also need to know some of what you will be doing as an interpreter, and we often call the pre-session part of that base. And then you also need to be able to faithfully render the message from one language to another. And that's really the role of the message converter. The most basic, the most simple. As we move on up the hierarchy, the next role is message clarifier. Here you will be modifying some of what you've done on the basic role. Still not taking very much risk, but really beginning to use higher skills. Up here, the third rung is the cultural clarifier. And at the cultural clarifier level, you need to have a very in-depth understanding of the cultures involved between your client or your patient and the healthcare system, which is also a culture. And the highest and most risky role is the patient advocate. When you're advocating for a patient, you're taking a lot of risk. First of all, the patient may not want you to be his or her advocate. And second of all, the people you work for, the healthcare system, may not be so excited about your speaking up for your patient. We're going to go into each one of these roles one by one so you really have a chance to understand what is expected in each role of the health